Here on Bidwell Parkway, if you go towards Richmond Avenue, you'll find some lower income housing. But only half a mile away on Elmwood Avenue, you'll find some of the most expensive houses in the city of Buffalo.
So when I moved here, it used to be called the West Side. And then as it became gentrified, you started calling it the Elmwood Village.
Dr. Mike Nyman is a professor at Buffalo State College. He has witnessed gentrification firsthand as a young adult in Brooklyn, and now for years here in Buffalo.
But for the people on my block here who are renters, they're being priced out of their own apartments. And for some of the people who have lived here for generations that own their houses, they can't afford to pay the taxes. My taxes have gone up 500%.
As lower income communities in a city become revitalized and new businesses move in, housing prices are driven up to a point where people who've lived there for generations can't afford to live in their neighborhoods anymore.
And they'd open up more stores, and then eventually the stores that served the neighborhood, like your bodegas where you go to buy toilet paper and fresh veggies, they'd close down. And then you have bistros opening up, and bistros you couldn't afford.
The Buffalo area is highly segregated, especially when you look at the segregation between whites and African Americans.
Sam McGavern is a senior policy advisor for the Partnership for Public Good. He says Buffalo is one of the most racially segregated communities in the country, in large part thanks to an old practice called redlining, which is now outlawed.
In other words, the more people of color lived in a neighborhood, the higher risk it was considered. And so that meant that the federal government was saying to lenders, don't lend in these neighborhoods.
Even though redlining became illegal in the 1960s, 50 years later, a state investigation found that less than 10% of loans made in Western New York are made to minorities.
Cause those neighborhoods to deteriorate and to be less good places to own. And that contributed a lot to the wealth gap that we have in this country between whites and people.
Still, some say gentrification can have positive effects on a community. The owner of Mimi's Place, which opened last year in November, says new development of the Buffalo Medical Campus has helped her business thrive.
The pro-gentrification forces have constructed this concept of what they call the Buffalo Renaissance.
Depending on your outlook, gentrification could be positive or negative. Experts on the issue believe that while it could have a positive effect on city budgets, the people who are most negatively impacted by it tend to have the least control over what happens in their own backyards.
Need is affordable housing, or you need is rent control, and a way that you can fix up cities and everybody can live in them and still have access to them.
If you would like to learn more about gentrification, go to our website, broadcastingbuffalo.com. In Buffalo, I'm Jillian Casmore.